And we look ahead to Carl Froch's opening fight in the exciting Super 6 series. Well, Carl Froch pulling that one out of the fire against Jermaine Taylor. If he knocks out Mr. Dirrell, Barry gets an extra bonus point, doesn't he? But I get the feeling he might not be facing the same level of opposition in Nottingham.
No, you've got to look at Dirrell's, the quality of opposition. Anthony Hanshaw had him in trouble, had him down. And you know, it's a huge step up in class. Also, I think more than anything else, he's going to Nottingham to fight in the Lions' Den against a worthy and noted puncher, a guy who comes on strong late on. He might be 4, 5, 6 rounds down going into the second half of the fight, because Dirrell's fast. He'll be nervous, he'll be very apprehensive, he'll be very careful early on and try and keep the fight at long range. But I think eventually Froch overhauls him and wears him down and possibly knocks him out in the late stages. Okay.
Carl Froch, John, has been saying wait till he feels the fervour of Nottingham and we'll see how confident he is. But he has been talking the talk, the American.
He has been talking the talk, and as Barry says, he's a good mover, he's a switch hitter, he's tall, he's the younger man, he's quick. But it's not only the fervour of Nottingham, you know, I mean, there's going to be a big home crowd against Dirrell, but it's also the power of Froch. Everybody who's been in the ring with Carl says just how heavy-handed he is, and I just think he's going to have too much for Dirrell.
And Duke, from Carl Froch's point of view, making a big impact in this worldwide series is hugely important to him, because his career, he's been a bit of a sort of nearly man, hasn't he?
Well, if you look at Froch's last 2 fights, the Pascal fight and the Taylor fight, that's what Carl Froch is all about. Carl Froch is all about just fighting the world's best fighters and putting it all on the line, and I don't expect this fight to be any different. The one sort of question mark for me in this particular fight is just how good the opponent is, the challenger is, I should say. Nobody knows how good he is because he's unbeaten, and what you find is, as a challenger, when you go into a world championship fight and you're unbeaten, you can raise your game. We've seen the best of Carl Froch. We know what he's all about. We don't know how good this guy is, which makes him a danger man. He could be the joker in the pack.
I think the big concern for me is that Froch, and in both the fights against, not so much against Pascal, but certainly against Taylor, he allowed his opponent to get out in front. And I mean, he was very, very lucky. Last 30 seconds of the round when he had Jermaine Taylor in trouble, he had to knock him out to win. He doesn't want to put himself in that position. He can't allow this guy to get out of the starting blocks and get well out in front. He's got to hurt him early on. He's got to be more, he's got to keep them hands slightly higher and get on top of him early on and be strong and overpower him and try and get him down the second half of the fight and wear him down to stop him if he can.
And his next opponent in this Super 6 series will be Mikael Kessler, beaten only by Joe Calzaghe in his hometown, Copenhagen.
Well, that's a huge fight, isn't it? And Kessler we know can bang. He's fresh, as you say. He's only lost to Calzaghe. For me, Kessler should be seen as the favourite to win this thing.
Definitely.
He's the man to beat.
Strangely, he's not the bookies' favourite.
No, he's not the bookies' favourite, but I believe he's the man to beat.
I put him number 1 for what it's worth. I put Froch number 2, and I put Andre Ward as number 3. I think Jermaine Taylor, he always seems to fail at the top level.
Yeah.
He had those 2 good wins against Hopkins.
I think he might beat Abraham.
But I think Abraham is not going to be big enough at middleweight, and he's jumping straight into this competition against top-class super middles. He should have given him a chance and a bit more time to get into the division.
Who's your favourite, Duke?
Well, I quite like Abraham. I like Abraham. I like
Likes
Abraham.
to buck the system.
This is why it's good.
Well, because of his defence is brilliant. The fact that he's moving up in weight is going to make him more powerful, and he'll give away 3 or 4 rounds in a fight, and then he starts to take over. So for me, he would be number 1 and Froch at number 2. I don't know. I think Froch beats Kessler. I think Froch goes to Copenhagen, and I think he could outbox Kessler not easy, because no fight's easy in this competition, but I think he can beat Kessler.
Isn't this why it's such a great series, though? Because you can stand here like this, you know, and you've both done it, and I've seen a bit over a few years, you know, and you can make a good case for all these guys. That's why it's so exciting. I think the best fighting the best.
That's the real thing about it. Every one of the guys that committed to this are showing, look, we're willing to fight anybody, we're willing to fight away from home, we want to see who's the best, and that is honesty. And you know, you've got to hand it to Showtime. They've done a great, you know, it's come up with a great concept. Let's hope that every division starts to enter into this series, because it will be good for boxing.
And Froch has got the hardest pick, because Froch has got this Dirrell, then he's got to fight Kessler, then he's going to fight Abraham straight after that. You know, and these are hard fights. They're going to take a lot out of him, you know.
So those last 2 fights took a bit out of him as well.
For sure, definitely, yeah.